Welcome to a gripping tale. A disabled black veteran seeks peace, only to be framed for a bold heist by a corrupt police force linked to a shadowy syndicate. As lies crumble and a rogue cop digs deeper, betrayal and danger explode. Freedom's won, but the true threat lingers. Dive into this suspenseful story of resilience, conspiracy, and a truth that won't stay buried. Hit play, you won't look away. The air hung heavy over Bayou Hollow, Louisiana, thick with the scent of damp earth and magnolia blooms. Marcus Thibodeau stepped off the Greyhound bus, his cane tapping the cracked pavement, his left leg stiff from the prosthetic below the knee. After 2 tours in Afghanistan and a Purple Heart pinned to his chest, he'd come home seeking quiet, 38 years old, tired of war, ready to mend the frayed ties with the town he'd left behind. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the clapboard houses and the rusted sign reading, "Welcome to Bayou Hollow," where the past meets the present. Marcus adjusted his duffel bag and limped toward his sister's place on Pecan Street. Peace, he thought. That's all I want. But peace wasn't waiting for him. Not here. 2 days later, the town buzzed with news of a heist. LeBlanc's Jewelry, a high-end shop on Main Street catering to the few wealthy families left in Bayou Hollow, had been hit. A masked figure caught on grainy security footage made off with diamond necklaces and gold watches worth $500,000. By Wednesday, Sheriff Roy Guidry's deputies were at Marcus's door, their boots thudding on the porch like a drumbeat of doom. "Marcus Thibodeau," Guidry drawled, his gray eyes cold beneath the brim of his hat. "You're under arrest." "For what?" Marcus asked, voice steady despite the absurdity. "Armed robbery. We got evidence, witnesses. You're done, son." Marcus's mind raced. Evidence? He'd spent Tuesday night nursing a beer at the Crawfish Shack with his old friend Darnell, hardly a master criminal's alibi, but solid enough. Yet the cuffs snapped shut, and the deputies hauled him off, his cane clattering to the floor. What had Marcus missed? Why him? As they drove him to the station, past the oak-lined streets and the curious stares of neighbors, a question gnawed at him. Who in Bayou Hollow wanted him gone? The cell door clanged shut, and Marcus sat on the cot, the damp concrete wall cool against his back. The fluorescent light buzzed overhead, flickering like a dying moth. His prosthetic leg ached where it met his stump, a phantom pain flaring up under stress, but his mind was sharper than ever. Evidence, Guidry had said. Witnesses. Marcus replayed the last few days in his head. Monday, unpacking at his sister Lena's house, her kids shyly tugging at his sleeve. Tuesday, that beer with Darnell, the jukebox crooning Zydeco tunes. Wednesday, a walk by the bayou, cane sinking into the mud, then home by dusk. Where was the gap? What had they pinned on him? He didn't have to wait long for answers. The next morning, Deputy Claire Fontenot, a wiry woman with a smoker's rasp, slid a manila folder through the bars. "Your file, Thibodeau. Might want to take a look before court tomorrow." Her eyes darted away, like she didn't want to linger. Marcus flipped it open. Security footage stills, a figure in a black hoodie, face obscured, limping out of LeBlanc's with a bag. A witness statement from Miss Evangeline, the elderly florist across the street, claiming she'd seen Marcus casing the joint days before. And damn it, a partial fingerprint on a display case, one they'd somehow matched to him. Marcus's gut twisted. The limp could be faked. The hoodie could be anyone's. Miss Evangeline's eyesight was shot, everyone knew that. And the fingerprint? He hadn't been near LeBlanc's since he was a kid, sneaking peeks at the glittering windows. Someone had gone to a lot of trouble. But why? Across town, Officer Travis Landry sat at his desk in the precinct, chewing a toothpick and staring at the same footage. Travis was Bayou Hollow, born and bred blonde hair, blue eyes, a drawl that charmed the church ladies. He'd joined the force 5 years back, happy to write speeding tickets and break up bar fights. Lately, though, things felt off. Sheriff Guidry's late-night meetings with men in slick suits, deputies pocketing cash from traffic stops, and now this, Marcus Thibodeau, a war hero, Tagged for a heist he didn't fit. Travis had seen Marcus at the crawfish shack that night, laughing with Darnell. The timeline didn't add up. He pulled the footage onto his screen, frame by frame. The limp. Was it too deliberate? He zoomed in. A shadow flickered in the corner, a second figure. Travis's pulse quickened. He grabbed his keys. Time to dig. Back in the cell, Marcus pieced it together. The police weren't just crooked, they were puppets. The real players. He thought of the rumors Lena whispered about. A syndicate running drugs up the bayou, jewelry heists as a front. Marcus was no saint, but he wasn't their fall guy either. He'd fight this with logic, with calm, with every ounce of grit he'd honed overseas. Tomorrow's arraignment was step one. What was Guidry hiding? And who was pulling his strings? The Bayou Hollow courthouse smelled of mildew and old wood, its ceiling fans creaking lazily as Marcus stood before Judge Duvall. The room was packed, locals craning their necks, reporters scribbling notes. Marcus's navy suit, borrowed from Darnell, hung loose on his frame, but his posture was steel. The prosecutor, a slick-haired man named Paul Bro, laid out the case with theatrical flair. The footage, the fingerprint, Miss Evangeline's shaky testimony. "A decorated veteran turned rogue," Bro boomed, "preying on his own town." Marcus's public defender, a jittery kid fresh out of law school, fumbled through objections. Marcus leaned over, voice low. "Ask about the timestamp, the footage skips." The kid blinked, then stammered it out. Judge Duvall's brow furrowed as Bro waved it off. "Technical glitch, Your Honor." But Marcus caught the flicker in Bro's eyes. Doubt. He pressed on during cross-examination, calm as a sniper. "Miss Evangeline, how far's your shot from LeBlanc's? 50 yards? And your glasses, when did you last get 'em checked?" Her mumble. 2 years, maybe." Drew murmurs from the gallery. Meanwhile, Travis slipped into the precinct's evidence room, heart pounding. He'd sweet-talked Claire into a coffee run, buying him 10 minutes. The original security tape sat in a plastic bag, labeled and locked. He popped it into a player, skipping to the glitch Marcus had flagged. There, a frame jumped. And there in the corner, that shadow again. Travis froze the image, zoomed. A hand, gloved, holding something, a gun. His breath caught. This wasn't a solo job. He snapped a photo with his phone, then bolted as Claire's boots echoed down the hall. That night, Marcus lay on his cot, replaying the day. The judge had set bail at $200,000 impossible, but the cracks were showing. Bro's story didn't hold. Someone had edited that tape, planted that print. The why still eluded him. Revenge? A distraction? He thought of Guidry's smirk, the way the sheriff's gaze lingered on Lena's house during the arrest. Was this personal? Travis, chain smoking on his porch, couldn't shake the image. He'd seen that glove before, Guidry's desk drawer, months back, stuffed with cash and a bottle of bourbon. He texted a buddy at the state police. Vague, but urgent. "Need a favor, off book." The reply came fast. "Meet me tomorrow, Baton Rouge." Travis stubbed out his cigarette. He was in deep now. By morning, word spread. The trial was heating up. Marcus's questions had rattled Bro, and whispers of "frame up" rippled through town. But at the precinct, Guidry got a call. "Landry's sniffing," a gravelly voice said. Guidry's jaw tightened. "Handle it." What had Travis stumbled into? And how long could Marcus keep chipping away before the system hit back? The second day of trial dawned humid and gray, storm clouds rolling off the Gulf. Marcus stood at the defendant's table, Kane propped beside him, eyes scanning the room. The gallery buzzed louder now, folks sensing blood in the water. Bro paced, tossing out more evidence. A gas station receipt near LeBlanc's, time-stamped an hour before the heist with Marcus's name scrawled on it. "He planned it," Bro sneered. Marcus's defender shrank, but Marcus leaned in again. "Your Honor, I don't drive. Lost my license after the injury checked the DMV. Who wrote that receipt?" Judge Duvall's gavel paused midair. "Mr. Bro?" the prosecutor sputtered. A clerk's error, irrelevant. But the room shifted. Marcus felt it, a tide turning. He locked eyes with Lena in the back row, her hands clasped tight. She mouthed, "Keep going." He would. Logic was his weapon, calm his shield. The receipt was a fake sloppy, desperate. Who'd slipped up? 60 miles away, Travis met his state police contact, Jimmy Ruiz, in a Baton Rouge diner. Rain streaked the windows as Jimmy slid a file across the table. "You're poking a hornet's nest, Landry. That tape? I ran it through our tech edited, all right. Missing 6 minutes. And that glove? Matches a batch sold to a private security firm, Crescent Shield. Guess who owns it?" Travis's throat went dry. "Guidry?" Jimmy nodded. "Silent partner. They've been moving product up the bayou, drugs, guns, you name it. Jewelry's just the shine on top." Travis's mind raced. Crescent Shield meant muscle, money, reach. Guidry wasn't just a crooked cop, he was a cog in a machine. The photo from the tape burned in his pocket. He handed it to Jimmy. "Second guy in the frame. Any hits?" Jimmy squinted. "Blurry, but could be Tommy LaRue, ex-con, works for Crescent now. Nasty piece of work." Travis thanked him and stepped into the rain, dread pooling in his gut. He'd lit a fuse. Back in Bayou Hollow, the trial recessed for lunch. Marcus sat in a holding room sipping stale coffee when Claire slipped in. "You're stirring shit up, Thibodeau," she muttered. "Guidry's pissed." Marcus studied her, nervous, chain-smoking, but not cruel. "Why tell me?" She hesitated. "Saw you at the shack that night. You didn't do it." Before he could press, she was gone. An ally or a trap? That afternoon, Travis's truck rolled into town, wipers slapping. His phone pinged a text from an unknown number. "Back off, Landry, last warning." He pulled into the precinct lot, eyes scanning. A black SUV idled across the street, tinted windows gleaming. Crescent Shield. His hand hovered over his holster. Inside, Guidry greeted him with a grin too wide. "Busy day, Travis? Heard you took a trip." The air thickened. Travis played dumb. "Just coffee, Sheriff." But Guidry's stare said he knew. By nightfall, the trial hung in limbo, Bro scrambling, Marcus gaining ground. But at 2 a.m., Travis's phone rang. Jimmy, voice tight. "Tommy LaRue just turned up dead. Car wreck, they're saying. Bullshit, watch your back." Travis bolted upright, grabbing his gun. Too late. A shadow moved outside his window. Then a brick crashed through, note taped to it. "You should have kept quiet." What was Guidry's next move? And how much time did Marcus have before the system crushed him? The third day of trial broke under a sky bruised with thunderheads. Marcus felt the weight of every stare as he limped to the stand, sworn in, voice steady. Bro pounced, brandishing the receipt, the footage, the fingerprint. "Admit it, Thibodeau, you snapped. War broke you, and you turned on us." Marcus met his gaze, unflinching. "War taught me discipline, Mr. Bro. You're the one scrambling. That receipt's a forgery. DMV proves I don't drive. The footage skips 6 minutes. Where's the rest? And that print? I've never touched LeBlanc's glass. Explain that." The gallery erupted. Judge Duval banged his gavel, but Marcus saw it. Bro's sheen of sweat, the jury's shifting eyes. He leaned into the kid lawyer. "Call Darnell. He'll swear I was with him." Darnell took the stand, broad shoulders tense, voice firm. "Marcus was at the shack till midnight. Never left my sight." Bro flailed. "Convenient alibi." But the cracks widened. Marcus spotted Guidry in the back, face dark as the storm outside. The sheriff slipped out, phone to his ear. Across town, Travis crouched in his kitchen, blinds drawn, the brick's note crumpled in his fist. Tommy LaRue dead. Jimmy's warning ringing. He'd underestimated Crescent Shield. Guidry's muscle wasn't just local. It stretched up the coast. His phone buzzed. Lena, Marcus's sister. "Travis, they're watching my house. 2 guys in a black truck. I'm scared." His jaw tightened. Lock the doors. I'm coming. He grabbed his badge, gun, and a flash drive with the tape photo. Time to move. He sped through the rain, wipers slashing, headlights catching the black SUV tailing him. Lena's porch light glowed ahead. He pulled up, gun drawn, and banged on her door. She yanked it open, eyes wide, kids huddled behind her. "They're gone," she whispered. "Left 10 minutes ago." Travis swept the house. Nothing but muddy boot prints on the steps. A message. He handed Lena his card. "Call if they're back. I'll get Marcus out." At the courthouse, recess hit. Marcus sat shackled in the holding room, mind racing. Darnell's testimony had bought him ground, but Guidry's exit screamed trouble. Claire slipped in again, twitchy. "They're moving evidence, Marcus. Shredding stuff. I heard Guidry say your name." He nodded slow. "Get me a phone, Claire. One call." She hesitated, then slid him a burner. He dialed Travis. "Landry, they're cleaning house. You got anything solid?" Travis's voice crackled. "Tapes edited. Glove ties to Guidry's outfit, crescent shield. I'm uploading it now. State police have it." Lightning split the sky as Travis sent the file. He stepped outside Lena's, rain soaking him, and saw the SUV peel around the corner straight for him. He dove behind his truck as gunfire popped, glass shattering. Lena screamed inside. Travis returned fire, clipping a tire. The SUV swerved, sped off. His hands shook. Too close. By dusk, the trial resumed. Bro looked rattled. Word was leaking state police sniffing around. Marcus stood again, voice cutting through the hum. "Your Honor, this case is a house of cards. Evidence tampered. Witnesses coerced. Ask Sheriff Guidry where he was during those missing 6 minutes." Guidry wasn't there to answer. He'd vanished. That night, Travis nursed a busted lip in his truck, parked by the bayou. His phone lit up. Jimmy. "Feds are in. Guidry's on the run. You're a ghost till this blows over." Travis exhaled. Then headlights flared behind him. A shot rang out. What had Marcus unleashed? And who'd silenced Travis? The gunshot echoed over the bayou, swallowed by the drone of cicadas. Travis slumped against his truck's wheel well, blood seeping through his shirt, staining the mud red. The headlights receded taillights now, fading into the dark. His phone slipped from his hand, screen glowing with Jimmy's text. "Feds incoming." Too late for him. He pressed a palm to the wound gut shot. Bad, but not instant. He fumbled for his radio. Static, crackling. "Officer down! Bayou Road!" His voice faded as rain hammered the hood. A heron screeched overhead. Was this it? In the courthouse, Marcus felt the shift before he saw it. Day 4 dawned, and the gallery was electric rumors, swirling. State police in town, Guidry AWOL. Bro strode in, tie askew, clutching a revised witness list. "Your Honor, we call Deputy Claire Fontenot." Marcus's pulse spiked. "Claire?" She shuffled to the stand, avoiding his gaze. Bro leaned in. "Deputy, did you see Marcus Thibodeau near LeBlanc's the night of the heist?" Claire swallowed hard. "No. He was at the shack. I told Guidry that." Gasps rippled. Bro paled. "You're mistaken." "No," Claire snapped. "Guidry told me to keep quiet, said Crescent Shield would handle it." Judge Duval's gavel froze. "Crescent Shield? Explain." Claire's voice trembled but held. "Private firm. Guidry's tied to drugs, heists, all of it. They framed Marcus." The room exploded. Shouts, cameras flashing. Marcus locked eyes with her. She'd flipped. Why now? Guilt? Fear? He leaned to his lawyer. "Push it. Call for the tape." The kid stammered. "Your Honor, we demand the full security footage unedited." Bro objected, voice shrill, but Duval's stare was ice. "Granted. Recess till tomorrow." Outside, the storm broke. Sheets of rain flooding Main Street. Marcus sat in his cell, burner buzzing. Lena's voice. "Travis was shot. They found him alive, barely. Feds are here, Marcus. Hold on." His chest tightened. Travis had paid for that flash drive. He whispered, "Tell him thanks." But the line cut. A guard banged the bars. Thibodeau visitor. Who now? It was Jimmy Ruiz, state cop, rain-soaked and grim. Landry's in surgery. Feds nabbed 2 Crescent guys low level, but they're talking. Guidry's holed up somewhere. You've got him running scared. Marcus nodded slow. Enough to clear me? Jimmy shrugged. Tapes with forensics. If it matches Travis's copy, you're gold. Sit tight. He left, boots squelching. Marcus stared at the ceiling. Tight was all he could do. By midnight, Travis flatlined twice on the operating table. Bullet nicked his spleen, but the surgeon stitched him up. He woke to a Fed in his room, badge gleaming. Landry, you're a dumbass hero. Guidry's crew's crumbling. Rest up, you're testifying. Travis rasped. Marcus, the Fed grinned. He's the hammer, you're the nail. Morning broke clear. Trial day 5. The gallery overflowed. National news now. Helicopters buzzing. The unedited tape rolled. No Marcus. Just 2 figures, one limping fake, the other Tommy LaRue, clear as day. Bro slumped. Duval glared. Case dismissed. Thibodeau, you're free. Cheers erupted. Marcus stood, cane tapping, and met Lena's tear-streaked hug. But his eyes scanned Guidry's absence, nodded him. Days later, Travis limped from the hospital, ribs taped, to a town half-mended. Feds hauled Crescent's brass Guidry, still a ghost. Marcus rebuilt at Lena's, kids laughing again. Then the call came, payphone, no ID, a rasp. You should have kept quiet. Click. Next dawn, Travis's truck sat empty by the bayou, keys in the ignition, a single bullet casing on the seat. Suicide, they ruled. Marcus stood by the water, cane sinking in mud, and whispered, not a chance. Who'd pulled that trigger? And where was Guidry hiding? Marcus woke to the hum of crickets outside Lena's house, the first morning of freedom, tasting bittersweet. Sunlight slanted through the blinds, catching dust motes, but his mind was miles away, by the bayou, with Travis's empty truck. He'd seen the news. Local cop takes own life after Fed raid. Bullshit. Travis had fought tooth and nail, bled for the truth. That bullet casing 9mm, standard issue, felt like a taunt. Marcus sipped black coffee, cane resting against the table, and stared at the wall. Guidry was out there, and someone had tied up Travis's loose end. Lena shuffled in, apron dusted with flour. You're up early. Kids want pancakes, you eating? Her voice was soft, but her eyes searched his. Marcus forced a smile. Yeah, save me some. She hesitated. Travis, you think he— No, Marcus cut in sharp. He didn't. Lena nodded, slow, and turned back to the stove. She knew better than to press. But Marcus's gears were turning. He needed answers. Travis deserved that much. Across town, the precinct was a ghost ship. Deputies shuffled, heads down, as Feds boxed files and grilled Claire. She'd kept her badge barely after flipping on Guidry. Now, she sat in the break room, nursing a Coke, when Marcus walked in. No cuffs, just that steady tap of his cane. Claire, he said, voice low. She flinched. Thibodeau, you're out. Thanks to you. Travis, too. Her jaw tightened. Heard about that. Suicide, they say. Marcus slid into the chair opposite. You buy it? She met his gaze, then looked away. Guidry's gone, Crescent scattering. Maybe Travis was collateral. Marcus leaned in. Or a message. Who's left calling shots? Claire fiddled with the can. Feds got the Muscle LaRue's crew, some suits from New Orleans. But the head? Still out there. Guidry was middle management. Marcus nodded. And that casing precinct issue? She froze. How'd you— Saw the report. Travis hated paperwork, but he logged every round. Check his locker. Claire's eyes widened. She stood. Give me 10. She returned with a logbook, smudged but clear. Travis's last ammo pulled 2 weeks back, full count. No 9mm missing. Marcus's gut clenched. Someone else's bullet, Claire whispered. Jesus, they're still here. He stood, cane clicking. Find me Guidry's last call log. I'm not done. Bye. That afternoon, Marcus drove Lena's old Chevy to the bayou, windows down, humid air thick with moss and doubt. Travis's truck was gone towed to evidence, but the spot lingered, a scar in the mud. He climbed out, prosthetic creaking, and scanned the bank. A glint caught his eye-shell casing, half buried. Same make. He pocketed it, mind racing. Not suicide. Execution. But whose gun? In Baton Rouge, Jimmy Ruiz briefed the feds, voice clipped. Guidry's last ping burner phone, Gulfport, 2 days ago. He's got cash, contacts. Crescent's bigger than we thought, ties to a casino outfit. Deep pockets. The lead agent, a wiry woman named Kessler, frowned. And Landry? Suicide's too pat. Jimmy nodded. Thibodeau's asking questions. He's no fool. Kessler tapped her pen. Let him. He's earned it. Dusk fell as Marcus sat on Lena's porch, casing in his pocket, Claire's faxed call log in hand. Guidry's last dial a Gulfport area code, 3 a.m. Night Travis died. He dialed it disconnected. Dead end or bait? The kid's laughter drifted from inside, grounding him. Then headlights flashed down the street. A black sedan, slow, deliberate. It paused, idled, drove on. Marcus gripped his cane. They weren't done with him either. Was Guidry watching? Or was the real snake still coiled in Bayou Hollow? The sedan's taillights vanished around the bend, leaving Marcus on Lena's porch, pulse steady but eyes sharp. The night pressed in. Crickets, a distant dog's bark, the faint gurgle of the bayou. He flipped the casing in his palm, cool metal grounding him. Gulfport, Guidry's last call. A casino town, flush with cash and secrets, perfect hideout for a rat like him. But that sedan, it was too close, too bold. Someone local was still watching. Marcus tucked the log under his arm and stepped inside, locking the door soft so Lena wouldn't stir. He'd decide by dawn, chase the lead or bait the snake. Morning broke humid. Sky streaked orange. Marcus sat at the kitchen table. Lena frying bacon, kids chattering over cereal. She slid him a plate, voice low. You're leaving, aren't you? He met her gaze, tired, fierce, his big sister. Gulfport, Guidry's there, Travis deserves it. She nodded, slow. And that car last night? Marcus chewed, thoughtful. Not Guidry. Someone else. I'll figure it when I'm back. She squeezed his shoulder. You come back here? He packed light cane, phone, the casing, a .38 revolver from his army days Lena kept stashed. By noon, he was on I-10. Chevy rattling past swamps and billboards, Gulfport 2 hours out. His mind churned. Claire's tip Guidry's middle management, Crescent's casino ties, Travis's logged ammo, the sedan. Pieces of a puzzle, edges jagged. He dialed Jimmy, line scratchy. Ruiz, I'm headed to Gulfport. That ping anymore? Jimmy's voice tightened. Feds lost him after that. Casinos called the Pelican shady as hell. Watch yourself. Marcus hung up, jaw set. Watchful was his default. Gulfport hummed with neon and salt air. The Pelican squatted on the waterfront gaudy, gold-trimmed slots chiming through smoked glass doors. Marcus parked, cane tapping as he limped inside. The crowd parted tourists, drunks, sharp-eyed bouncers. He scanned for Guidry's gray hair, that swagger. Nothing yet. He slid a 20 to a bartender, voice low. Roy Guidry seen him. The guy shrugged. Lots of Roys. Check the VIP poker room. Marcus nodded, slipping toward the back. The room was dim, smoke curling over green felt tables. He spotted him Guidry, hunched over cards, suit rumpled, a tumbler of bourbon at his elbow. Marcus eased into a corner, watching. Guidry laughed too loud, nervous. A woman in a red dress leaned close, too close. Muscle? Marcus's hand brushed the .38. Then Guidry's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, paled, and bolted for a side door. Marcus followed, cane silent on carpet, adrenaline sharp. Outside, an alley stretched trash bins, flickering sodium light. Guidry fumbled with keys at a beat-up Ford, breath ragged. Marcus stepped out. "Roy!" Guidry spun, hand darting for a gun too slow. Marcus's .38 was steady. "Drop it, we're talking." Guidry's eyes flicked wild, cornered. "You don't get it, Thibodeau. I'm dead either way." Marcus stepped closer. "Who's pulling your leash? Travis, who ordered it?" Guidry sneered. "You think I'm the top? They'll bury you too." Headlights, flared black sedan, same as last night, roaring down the alley. Marcus dove behind a bin as tires screeched. Guidry scrambling. Shots popped. Guidry jerked, crumpled, blood pooling. The sedan peeled out. Marcus rose, cane slick with sweat, and checked Guidry gone, eyes glassy. A burner phone buzzed in his pocket. Marcus grabbed it. Text. "Loose ends tied. You're next." That's. He stared. Gulfport's lights blinking beyond. Back home, Lena's porch waited. But the sedan's engine still hummed in his ears. Who held the real power? And how long could Marcus outrun it? Marcus, crouched in the Gulfport alley, Guidry's blood seeping into the gravel, the burner's text glowing. "Loose ends tied. You're next." His breath, steadied war, had taught him that much, but his mind raced. The sedan's roar faded, but its shadow clung. He pocketed the phone, wiped the .38's grip, and limped to the Chevy. Gulfport's neon haze blurred as he floored it back to Bayou Hollow. Lena, the kids, Travis's ghost. They pulled him home, but so did that sedan. It wasn't Guidry's. It was bigger. The highway stretched dark, headlights carving through mist. Marcus replayed it. Claire's Tip Crescent's head still out there. Guidry's panic. "They'll bury you too." The casino's ties. That text wasn't a grunt's bravado. It was a promise from the top. His knuckles whitened on the wheel. He'd exposed Guidry, freed himself, but the Hydra had more heads. Travis's suicide flashed same playbook. Marcus was no fool. He'd stirred a nest, and they'd strike. Bayou Hollow loomed by midnight, streets slick with rain. He parked 2 blocks from Lena's, cane muffled on wet grass, and crept to the porch. Lights off, curtains still. Safe for now. He slipped inside, .38 ready. Lena's voice hissed from the dark. "Marcus?" He exhaled. "It's me." She emerged, robe tight, eyes wide. "Saw that car again, hour ago, circling." He nodded, grim. "Gulfport's done. Guidry's dead, but they're not." She gripped his arm. "Feds?" Not fast enough. Dawn crept in, gray and heavy. Marcus sat at the table, Guidry's burner beside the .38. He scrolled its log Gulfport calls, encrypted texts. One name, Viper. No face, no rank, just a ghost. Claire's faxed precinct log sat dog-eared Travis's ammo, Guidry's last moves. Then a knock, sharp, urgent. Marcus tensed, gun up. Lena froze. He edged to the window, Jimmy Ruiz, rain-soaked, badge glinting. Marcus opened the door slow. "Ruiz," Jimmy stepped in, grim. "Feds found the Pelican's books. Viper's a code name. Runs Crescent's Gulf Coast arm. Guidry was his dog. They're spooked. You're a target." Marcus lowered the gun. "Travis?" Jimmy's jaw tightened. Casing matched a Crescent hitman's peace-retired cop, off-grid. Feds are hunting, but Viper's deep. Marcus handed him the burner. "Start there." Jimmy nodded. "You're staying." Marcus glanced at Lena, the kid's soft snores upstairs. "Can't run forever." Jimmy left, tires splashing. Mid-morning, Marcus walked the bayou, cane sinking, air thick with rot and promise. The town hummed, feds raiding, locals whispering. Claire quit, vanished. A win, cracked and raw. Then his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered silent, a rasp. "Bayou's yours, Thibodeau. Enjoy it while it lasts." Click. He stared at the water, Ripples spreading. Viper? A minion? The sedan hadn't returned yet. He'd won the battle, cleared his name, avenged Travis in pieces. But the war? Lena called him in, pancakes ready, kids laughing. He limped back, 38 heavy in his pocket, eyes on the horizon. The bayou kept its secrets, and so did the shadows. For now, he'd sit, eat, breathe, but he'd be ready. Who was Viper? And when would the next shot ring? Thank you all for watching this video. Please comment and let me know what you think about this story. Please like and subscribe to watch more great content on my channel.